There are 3 phrases, 3 recognitions, that touch a woman in places far deeper than appearance or routine acknowledgement. They are not about flattery, they are not about strategy. They are about being seen, truly seen in her complexity, in her multiplicity, in the paradoxes she lives every day. The first is when you recognize her mind, to look at her not only as beautiful, not only as desirable, but as someone who thinks in ways that surprise you. When you say, "The way you see the world makes me think differently," you are saying, "I am affected by you. You expand me," and what a woman craves is not simply validation but impact. She wants to know that her intelligence, her imagination, her creativity, those parts of her that are not instantly visible, are reaching you. The second is when you recognize her strength in vulnerability. Too often, we confuse vulnerability with weakness, when in truth it takes immense courage to reveal yourself, to speak of fears, to admit uncertainty. When you tell a woman, "I admire the way you stay open, even when it's hard," you are honoring her bravery. You are acknowledging that softness is not fragility, it is resilience. And when you see that in her, you give her permission to inhabit the fullness of her emotional life, rather than protecting or diminishing it. The third is when you recognize her sense of aliveness, beyond roles, beyond obligations, beyond what she gives to others. There is the pulse of her vitality, her playfulness, her erotic self. To say, "I love the way your energy lights up a room," is to remind her that she is not defined only by what she does, but by the spirit that she brings. It is to affirm that she is not invisible, that her presence is felt, that she is not reduced to function but celebrated for essence. These are not compliments in the conventional sense. They are not rehearsed lines. They are invitations. Invitations to intimacy, to curiosity, to connection. When you offer them, you are not elevating her. You are joining her. You are saying, "I notice, I appreciate, I am touched," because in the end, what women most deeply desire is not perfection, not constant praise, but recognition of their wholeness. Recognition that they can be strong and tender, brilliant and uncertain, radiant and tired all at once. Recognition that they are not a single story but many stories, unfolding, and so the secret is not in finding the right words, but in the courage to see. To pause, to listen, to let yourself be moved. The compliment becomes powerful not because it is clever, but because it is true. And when it is true, it resonates, it lands in the body, it lingers, it nourishes. To speak this way is to shift from admiration to intimacy, from noticing to cherishing. And that is where desire thrives, not in the obvious, but in the places where someone finally says, "I see you there," and means it. Women long to be recognized for their mind, their imagination, creativity, and the ways they expand how you see the world. True admiration lies in honoring a woman's strength in vulnerability, her courage to remain open even when it feels risky. A woman craves acknowledgement of her aliveness, her vitality, her energy, her playful, erotic presence beyond roles and obligations. The most meaningful compliments are not surface-level praise, but invitations to deeper intimacy and recognition of her wholeness. The secret is not clever words, but the courage to truly see her, because when it is genuine, it resonates, lingers, and nourishes. When you recognize a woman's mind, you are stepping into a realm far beyond the obvious. You are telling her that what excites you is not only how she looks or how she makes you feel, but the way her thoughts, her perspectives, her imagination shape the world around her. Too often, women are praised for qualities that are visible on the surface, her beauty, her kindness, her nurturing. And yes, these may be true, but they are not the whole story. When you tell a woman, "The way you see this makes me think differently," you are touching the part of her that longs to be acknowledged as a force that expands you. It is the recognition that her mind is not just functioning, but creating, challenging, and leaving an imprint on you. This is not about intellectual competition. It is about intimacy. To see someone's mind is to enter into a dance with their ideas, their questions, their contradictions. It is to say, I don't simply listen to you, I let myself be affected by you. And when a woman feels that her inner world has an impact, that her thoughts ripple into your own, she feels something that no compliment about appearance can ever give her. She feels influence. She feels power not in the hierarchical sense, but in the erotic sense. The power of having moved you. There is something profoundly affirming in being told that your inner life matters. Imagine the difference between "you look amazing" and what you just said completely shifted how I see this. The first is pleasant. It's received with a smile. The second goes deeper. It lingers. It tells her she is not only being observed, but being met. That her mind, with all its complexity, is not hidden or overlooked, but is central to the connection. Women are often taught to be pleasing, to be agreeable, to smooth edges for harmony. But beneath that conditioning lives a vibrant mental life, a constant stream of observations, contradictions, and insights. When someone notices that, when they acknowledge it, they validate the parts of her that are sometimes invisible. And invisibility is one of the most painful experiences for any human being. To feel that you are only valued for what you give, for what can be seen on the outside, while the vast richness of your interior world goes unrecognized. To say, your way of thinking opens something in me, is to give her visibility. It is to hold a mirror that reflects not her body but her brilliance. And brilliance does not mean always being right or always being impressive. Brilliance is the spark, the originality, the twist of perception that makes you pause. It is the ability to see from an angle that you had not considered, to connect dots that you had not connected. And when you name this, when you honor it, you show her that you are not intimidated by her mind but drawn to it. For many women, their intelligence has been both a gift and a weight. Too smart, and you risk being labeled intimidating. Too quiet, and you risk being dismissed. To compliment a woman's mind is to cut through that tension and to say, I am not threatened by your intellect, I am captivated by it. I don't need you to be smaller for me to feel bigger. I want you in your full dimension because it makes me grow too. This kind of compliment carries erotic energy, not in the sense of seduction alone, but in the sense of vitality. Eros is about aliveness, about being touched in a way that awakens you. When a woman feels that her mind is noticed, she feels erotic, not because of her body, but because of her presence. She feels desired not just for what she looks like, but for who she is in her deepest layers. That is intimacy, being wanted for your essence, not only for your appearance. It takes courage to say these things because they require attention. They cannot be copied from a script. They demand that you are present, that you actually notice the moment when she surprises you, when she shifts something in you, when she reveals the brilliance of her perspective. And when you speak it aloud, it becomes a gift that says, I don't take your mind for granted. I am awake to it, I am nourished by it. To recognize a woman's mind is to validate not just what she produces or achieves, but the very way she inhabits thought. It tells her that her existence is meaningful, that her ideas ripple into the world, that she is not just decorative but transformative. It tells her she is a partner in exploration, in creation, in discovery. And that is one of the deepest compliments she can ever receive. To recognize a woman's strength in her vulnerability is to see her in a place that is often misunderstood. We live in a culture that rewards performance, perfection, and control. We are taught to put forward the best version of ourselves, to polish, to manage, to hold it together. And yet, beneath the facade, there is always the human reality, the fear, the doubt, the longing. When a woman allows you to glimpse this, it is not weakness. It is courage, it is an act of trust. When you say, I admire the way you stay open, even when it's hard, you are naming her bravery. You are saying, I see the risk you take in revealing yourself, and I don't take it lightly. Vulnerability is not the absence of strength. It is the presence of truth. To live with an open heart in a world that so often rewards armor is perhaps the most radical strength there is. For many women, the expectation has been to carry everything, to hold the family, to hold the emotions of others, to carry responsibility while hiding their own fragility. To let someone in on the messiness, on the uncertainty, often feels dangerous. What if you judge me? What if you think less of me? What if you use my openness against me? These are the questions that echo in the background. And when you respond with admiration, not pity, you shift the meaning of her exposure. You transform it from something shameful into something powerful. Strength in vulnerability is about presence. It is about staying connected when the instinct is to withdraw. It is about naming what is true in the moment rather than pretending, and when you notice this in a woman, you are acknowledging not just her emotional depth but also her resilience. You are saying, I value not only your composure but also your humanity. There is something profoundly intimate in this recognition. Because vulnerability is not about being fragile, it is about being real. To admire her for this is to tell her that she does not need to wear a mask with you. That her tears, her uncertainties, her confessions do not diminish her, they elevate her. They make her more accessible, more relatable, more whole. In fact, it is precisely in moments of vulnerability that we feel the strongest bonds. When we allow someone to see us in our rawness and they do not turn away, trust is built. When you compliment a woman for her openness, you are reinforcing this trust. You are saying, I don't just accept this part of you, I value it. It moves me too often. Compliments are about polish, about what is already perfect. But to honor her vulnerability is to honor the process, the becoming, the not yet finished. It tells her that you are not only drawn to her when she shines, but also when she trembles. And in that trembling, you see not weakness, but the immense strength it takes to remain open when it would be easier to close. To recognize a woman's sense of aliveness is to affirm something beyond her responsibilities, beyond her roles, beyond what she gives to others. It is to notice the spark that animates her, the playfulness, the vitality, the sensuality that radiates when she is connected to her own energy. So often women are reduced to function, the caretaker, the professional, the organizer, the reliable one who holds it all together. These roles are necessary, but they are not the totality. Beneath them lives a pulse that craves to be seen, not as useful, but as alive. When you say, I love the way your energy lights up a room, you are speaking to this essence. You are telling her that her presence itself has impact, that she is more than the sum of her duties. You are naming the intangible, the way she makes spaces feel different just by entering them. This kind of recognition allows her to reconnect with the part of herself that is often pushed aside in the rhythm of daily demands. A woman's aliveness is not always loud. Sometimes it is in the sparkle of her curiosity, in the way she leans into a story, in the laughter that comes unexpectedly. Sometimes it is in her erotic energy, not confined to sexuality, but woven into the way she touches life with creativity, with appetite, with imagination. To see this in her is to remind her that she is not invisible, that her vibrancy is not unnoticed. For many women, aliveness gets buried under expectation. The expectation to be efficient, dependable, steady. There is little space left for spontaneity, for pleasure, for the parts of herself that exist for no other reason than joy. When you reflect back to her the beauty of her energy, you give her permission to inhabit that space more fully. You remind her that she is not only valued for what she provides, but also for what she is. There is a profound intimacy in this kind of compliment because it touches what cannot be measured. You are not praising an achievement. You are not admiring a task well done. You are naming her essence. And essence is what lingers. It is what continues to ripple in your memory long after the conversation ends. When you recognize her aliveness, you awaken it further. She feels seen in a way that revives her, that makes her want to bring more of herself into the connection. It is easy to compliment the visible. It is far more powerful to acknowledge the invisible, to notice not just her actions, but the energy beneath them. To say, I feel you, I sense you, I am moved by your spirit. This is not flattery. It is an affirmation of her existence in its most radiant form. And when she hears it, she does not just feel admired, she feels alive. The most meaningful compliments are not the ones that brush the surface. They are not the predictable lines that speak to what is already obvious. They are invitations, gestures that open a door to intimacy, to recognition, to connection. When you tell a woman that she is beautiful, she may smile. But when you tell her that the way she shared her story made you feel closer to her, she feels seen. The difference is subtle, yet profound. One notices her appearance, the other honors her essence. Compliments that move beyond the superficial create a sense of being cherished in her wholeness. They speak not only to what she shows the world, but also to the layers beneath. They acknowledge her mind, her emotions, her vitality, the small nuances that make her who she is. And in doing so, they shift the dynamic from admiration to intimacy. They say, I am not here to observe you from a distance. I am here to engage with you, to be affected by you. For many women, the compliments they hear most often are those tied to their roles. You are a good mother. You are hardworking. You are dependable. These are acknowledgments of function. They recognize what she does. But what she longs for, often secretly, is recognition for who she is. For the qualities that cannot be measured, the parts of her that do not fit neatly into titles or responsibilities. When you say, I love the way you challenge me to think differently, you are not flattering, you are inviting her into a deeper exchange. When you say, I admire how you stayed open even in the middle of conflict, you are not simply praising, you are creating closeness. These words become a bridge. They tell her, I want to know you beyond the obvious. I want to meet you in the places that are tender, complex, alive. There is a vulnerability in offering these kinds of compliments because they require attention. They cannot be automated. They demand that you notice, that you stay present, that you allow yourself to be moved, and that is precisely why they matter. They communicate not only appreciation, but intimacy. They say, I see you in your fullness, and I want to be here with you. Superficial praise can be pleasant, but it evaporates quickly. Intimate recognition lingers. It settles in the body, it nourishes, it creates memory. A woman may forget the compliment about her dress, but she will not forget the moment you told her that her energy brings warmth to a room, or that her honesty inspired you to be more honest too. Those words do not fade because they are rooted in truth. To move from surface level praise to intimate recognition is to move from distance to closeness. It is to transform words into connection. It is to say, I don't just admire what I see. I cherish what I feel when I am with you. The secret is not in clever words, not in rehearsed lines or grand declarations. The secret lies in the courage to truly see. To pause, to pay attention, to let yourself be touched by what is there in front of you. When a woman feels that you see her not the version she performs, not the version the world demands, but the woman in her wholeness, something in her softens. Something in her awakens, because recognition is nourishment. It tells her, you matter to me in your entirety. To truly see means looking beyond the obvious, beyond the smile, beyond the roles, beyond the efficiency with which she moves through her days. It is noticing the subtle shifts, the way her eyes light up when she talks about something she loves, the vulnerability in her voice when she speaks of a fear, the quiet resilience in how she continues even when she is tired. To name these things is to give her back to herself. It is to remind her of what she may have forgotten in the demands of daily life, that she is not invisible, that her presence is felt, that her essence leaves an imprint. Compliments become powerful not because of their poetry but because of their truth. A line spoken without attention falls flat, no matter how charming. But a simple phrase offered from genuine noticing carries weight. The way you think about this changes how I see it. I admire how you stay open even when it's difficult.
I feel the warmth you bring into this space. These are not complicated sentences. They are not rehearsed.
They are the product of presence, and presence cannot be faked. When recognition is genuine, it resonates in the body. She doesn't just hear it, she feels it. It lands in her chest, in her stomach, in the places where truth vibrates. And because it feels true, it lingers, it is remembered. She may forget the words themselves, but she will not forget how she felt in the moment of being seen. That is the mark of nourishment. It feeds her long after the moment has passed. To offer this kind of recognition is also to invite intimacy. It requires you to step closer, to risk being touched yourself, because when you allow yourself to notice deeply, you are no longer at a safe distance. You are affected, you are changed by her presence, and to admit this is an act of vulnerability on your part too. You are saying, you matter to me, not abstractly, but personally. The deepest desire is not for perfection, not for constant praise, but for recognition of wholeness. Wholeness that includes contradictions, the strength and the softness, the confidence and the uncertainty, the radiance and the exhaustion. When you see all of it and still say, I cherish this, you are giving a gift that no surface compliment can rival. Because you are not just affirming her image, you are embracing her reality. Would you like me to now weave all 5 expanded keynotes into a unified long-form speech in Esther Perel stage style, so it flows seamlessly as one? And so it comes down to this: women do not long for perfection, nor do they hunger for endless admiration. What they crave is to be seen, not in fragments, not in the polished version they present to the world, but in their entirety, their mind that expands, their vulnerability that strengthens, their aliveness that radiates, their essence that touches. The words that matter most are not extravagant, they are true. They carry the courage of presence, the intimacy of attention, the honesty of recognition. Because when you look at her and you say, I see you there, and you mean it, that is the moment she feels most desired, most valued, most alive. And that is where love, connection, and desire continue to thrive.